Let me teach you how to sew this particular A-line skirt. Now you need your scissors, your measurement tape, your chalk, your matching thread, and 2 yards of a crepe fabric, any crepe fabric. So as you can see, I folded the fabric by my hip measurement and added a few extra so that I can have space for my measurement. So I went down by 1 inch. I'm going to be connecting it. This is going to be serving as my starting point. And next, I'm going to be marking out my skirt length. That is the full length of my skirt. And the full length of this particular skirt is 29. So you can go ahead to make it longer than that if you want 30, if you want 31. So I'm marking 29. This is plus my folding or my hemming allowance, right? So next I'll go up to my starting point and I'll be marking my waist measurement. That's waist divided by 4, right? Then I'm not adding my allowance yet. So from that starting point, I'm going to be marking my waist to my hip. So the waist to my hip measurement is about 10 inches. And I'm going to be connecting the line with my ruler. So when I was done connecting the line with my ruler, I would have a straight line, and that is where I'm going to be marking my hip line. My hip divided by 4, that's what I'm marking down. And I'm going to be going down again on my hem line to mark my hip. So after marking my hip line, I'm going to be connecting it back again with my ruler. Right now, this is a pencil skirt, right? So now I'm going to be going ahead now to create that A-line effect by coming out by 5 inches on my hem line. And when I came out by 5 inches, I'm going to be connecting it back to my hip line. So when I was done connecting to my hip line, this gives me my A-line shape. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark out my allowance and connect this allowance with my ruler, right? And this is my A-line skirt. So you can leave yours straight like that, but I decided to come up by 1 inch to have a little bit of a curve by the side seams, right? If you don't want yours to look like that, you don't have to go up by 1 inch. You might just leave it straight like that. So you can go ahead now and cut out your marked out measurement, and this is the A-line. So I went ahead now to place the front, the back, yes, the back of the dress over another fabric which is serving as our front skirt, and I marked out 2.5 allowance away from the center front, and I placed my skirt, and I'm going to be cutting all the way around it like this. Now we have both skirts. That allowance I kept is the button allowance, right? So I've opened it and I'm notching my allowance. So go ahead and notch yours. Now this helps you to know where your button allowance should stop, right? So if you want to fold, see what way I'm folding, that place I notch, I'm going to be folding everything completely, then fold the other part just like this. Now I'm going to be sewing on it. You can go ahead and iron on it and press it so it looks very neat. So next up, now I'm bringing the back of the skirt, the back pattern of this skirt, and I'm going to be marking out where I want my pockets to be. So from the waistline, I'm marking out 2.5. You can go ahead and mark 3 inches, but I came down by 2.5. Then for the wideness of the pocket, I'm using 7 inches. You can go ahead and use 6, 8, as wide as you want your pocket to be. So this is it. I came down by 3 or 2.5 inches. Then the wideness of the pocket is about 6 or 7 inches, right? And I'm going to go ahead now to cut my pocket. So I folded my fabric into 2, and the length of this pocket is about 14 inches, right? This is the length of the pocket. It's about 14 inches. I'm going to mark it all the way down. I'm connecting it like this. Then the length I'm using about same 14 inches. Okay, so next up is I'm going to be cutting out like this. Now this particular pocket, you're cutting 2 times. So I'm opening the other side. Now as you can see, we have 2 cutout pockets. So I'm folding it again, and I'm going to place my hand and draw like do a round curve around it. The pocket does not have to be very big. You see the way I'm going around, like just going around on the pocket side. Just look, you see the clearer drawings, right? This is it. So I went ahead now to shaping it in, and we have our pocket ready. So that part where there's a part that is folded, like we did not touch, we did not cut, so that part will be unfold. You're going to bring it together to where you're going to start sewing your pocket from. Now you know you initially marked out 3 inches, and that's where the pocket will start. You start sewing your pocket from. So right now I went to recut it so it just rhyme with the pocket that we've marked out, the opening, and I'm going to place that one I cut already on the other one to trim them again. So it looks, I did not want the pocket to be too big, so I wanted it to be really comfortable so it does not bulge at the end of the skirt. So I was done folding the center front of this skirt, and this is what it looks like. So I bring back my back pattern and place it over the front pattern, right? And I'm going to get the actual seam allowance that I used for this skirt. I used 2 inches. What I did was I did not just go straight all the way to sew the 2 inches. I slanted it, but I made sure that my waist measurement had that twin. I sewed the accurate allowance for that waist. So you see I slanted it down, like I slanted the 2 inches down. So when you get to that point where my pocket is going to start from, it's going to be like half an inch, right? I did not use the 2 inches down all the way down, no. So even for the down part of this skirt, you're going to be using half an inch to shaping it, not the 2 inches you left, right? So that's the opening there. So for your pockets, you bring a side of your pocket to the other side of the pocket. That's the right side facing right side. The pocket is facing the right side of the skirt, as you can see. Then you're gonna sewing it all the way around your pocket. So after you're done sewing, you're gonna sew all the way around the pocket. Now I'm done sewing, and this is what it looks like. I've not ironed on it, I've not pressed on it. So when you press on it, you know it's going to lay very flat. Now there are 2 ways to cutting this skirt. You can cut it in a flay pattern, but this particular pattern is the A-line pattern, right? I think I'm going to be putting up another tutorial on this particular skirt, but in the flay pattern, right? So let's go ahead now to take the complete measurement of the round waist. Now this will help you know the inches you're going to be cutting for your waistband, right? In some cases you can put a belt holder, but I didn't do that in this particular video. So I folded my fabric, right? Then I'm going to be marking out the round measurements for my waist. So we had 38 for the round measurement of the waist, and I'm going to be making it about 40, right? You know, for the skirt we're having a fold by the center front on the 2 sides, the 2 ends, so that would serve as my excess, right? So now for the length, the wideness or the width of this band, I'm going to be using 5. You can use 6, you can use 5.5. So when you fold it, it will now fall back to 2.5 inches. That is if you are using 2.5, or that's if you are using 5 inches, right? So I'm going to be connecting the lines, and I'm going to be cutting out. So right here, I think I used 2.5. That is 5 inches. So when you fold it like this, it becomes 2.5, right? So now you're going to be going ahead to iron a part. Now you're going to be ironing half an inch. You fold half an inch on both sides, on both ends, like the way you're seeing it fold. Then bring it back together and iron. So I was done ironing, and this is what it looks like. I folded half an inch on one side and folded half an inch on the other end, then bring them together to get my band. So now I folded it into 2 to get the midpoint of my band, and this is what we have here. I used the chalk to mark it down. Now this midpoint helps us to manage the fabric so that we're not short on fabric on the other side. So I brought out my skirt and I folded it into 2, and I notch the middle part of this skirt. Now you'll be bringing the middle part of the band together with the middle part of the skirt. You put it inside. Now you've already folded your band, so you don't need to sew it 2 times, right? You need to sew it one end and the other end. No, since you have folded it, you've ironed it already, you're going to put the middle part inside the middle part of the band and put it inside like this. Now the skirt should be at the folded band area. Don't take it too inside, right? And I'm going to be pinning all the way. Ensure that the skirt pattern, the skirt waist is inside the band, and don't put it too inside. It should be at least on the part where it's folded, right? So at the end you have your excess. That excess now will help us in folding in, right? Will help us in folding in. So when you get to that point, you open up like this and fold it opposite side, then sew on it. You sew on it like this, then cut out the excess, then fold it back in. So that's how it is. I'm going ahead now to pin the other end of this skirt. I hope you've been following from the beginning. If you've been following from the beginning, you should be achieving, or your practicals or your tutorials should be looking like this, right? So I'm going to go ahead now to sew on the parts where I pinned. And the next thing after folding is I'm going to be folding the hem of this skirt, and that will be all for this particular practical. Isn't it that easy? If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, this is the best time to do so. Please subscribe to my channel, like, share, drop a comment in the comment section. Tell me how this tutorial was helpful to you, and don't forget to share this particular video with people that would need it. So I was done doing everything, and this is what it looks like. So I will not be putting this particular skirt on the mannequin because I was not done sewing the buttons on it, right? The buttons, I usually go and fix the buttons in the market. So now I pin it down, and this is what it looks like. So these buttons is what I'm going to be using for this particular skirt, black buttons. So you just put the buttons on the band first, then you can also measure, like mark out the inches you want to use for it. Can be 2.5 inches, can be 3 inches, can be 3.5 markings for your placement of the button. So when you are done placing, this is what the skirt would look like. I know you love this tutorial. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, share and comment, and I would love to have you in the Fluxify community. Please don't forget to like and share this video. I love you guys. Bye.